I'm trying to understand what happened to Michele. I'm led down a few paths. 3D. She's in the 3D. I, those around, I understand what they mean by the 5D. We're stuck in the transition tunnel. That was actually what a lot of the visions meant. Michele had no way of really understanding her simplicity. Her mind was stuck into something else. There's many versions that everyone has seen, whether it is in the normal person's way of explaining, it can be considered a multiple personality. It can be easily multiple people. The distinct possibility with the investigations is that it can be either. More than likely multiple people, or multiple personalities. Either way, that part, in a sense, I see why they're giving up. Where she went doesn't really matter because there is someone still here. Problem is I know my name, and it is not Michele. Angel. Whether the normal people who's part of them is still stuck in the 3D, believe me or not, in a sense that doesn't really matter. But then again, it does, because it makes me wonder if there are certain people that didn't want certain details told. Michele took responsibility for publishing a lot of stuff, and by the looks of it, she was publishing case files, publishing secrets that were told, that she saw remote viewing, those kinds of things, different crimes. Even if she changed the names and stuff, those kinds of things, I can see how that can get you killed. But then again, the way there's no connection, it's like she's completely gone. Some have suggested that maybe Michele arranged this as a way of getting publicity for her books. Well, maybe so. But then again, all her books are more like a extreme cry for help. If they are really from her dreams, and she was the only one here, and she lived as long as she possibly could and fought whatever disease that was eating away at her. Let's just go as she's one person and had a lot of issues, per se. A medium who was channeling was also suggested. Who was channeling a lot of the dark souls. She was in a realm she shouldn't have been. Michele kept commenting about how she was the sacrifice. Her mother made sure she understood that in order for the Revelations prophecies to come true, as per se, Jesus was to come about, the end of all the horror that was happening had to come about. Basically, an end to what we know. Yeah, an end of the world, yes. End of the hell world, I believe, is what was being referred to in Revelations. So that the good being could come by and create the better version of whatever forward. People have to be ready and willing for that. They have to want that type of thing. But aside from the prophecies that was stuck in her head, I find in a stack of her books one that was separate. Now, Michele claimed that she was publishing for other people, whether it was channeled through her or secretly sent to her and she found a way to delete this stuff, is unknown. If she was telepathically communicating with people remotely, they were secretly telling her, that is actually a possibility. I would not doubt that one bit. Seeing as how there's no digital trail. Not unless some really good hacker could figure out a way to delete or erase or make it look like the digital trail and footprint was not there. But there's always a digital trail and footprint somewhere. So, however she got the stuff and however she was, it does look like a majority of people, a variety of people, were publishing under this one publishing house that it's not making any money. And I don't think that was, the way it's all set up and written, it comes out, I do not believe they did anything like that for money or fame. These people that were publishing under the Out of Mind of Madness, the way it is set up, it looks like it's a publishing house on its own. It has its own logo, and so forth. But then there was this one time somewhere in the past where she was looking, the publishing house under the name of author Angel Michele Carter was looking for people to contribute. And then up pops Michele Nadeau. Now, Michele was known for being a multiple personality and crazy. Okay, well, but the problem there is that the experts couldn't prove she was multiple. The most they could do was prove that the body was born with literally two brains side by side inside. Full onset, whether it was born that way or she rewired it that way on some quirk of whatever's. That kind of thing is so incredibly rare, it's unlikely. Two separate brains with two separate souls, I can see. And I believe more in the spiritual side, the spiritual nature of stuff in life. So, I'm an enlightened type. So I believe in those kind of oddities in life. Now I'm holding in my hand the book that she published. Life in the Eyes of a Camera by Michele Nadeau. There is no link in this anywhere to link it to any of the series. It is her photograph. Very pretty. Very pretty photograph. I'm going to read part of the beginning. It's kind of telling in a very odd, creepy kind of way. No One is Perfect is the title. Narrator voiceover. It's written in script form. A rudimentary, not professional, an amateuristic style of script form for the literary types. I'll explain it that way. In trying to help solve the murders of so many of the council members, they uncovered the hidden ones. The indoor slaves and wild people that had no one because the adults were murdered in the name of the game. Folks like Michele. We didn't even know their names for the longest time. Thankfully, they're a forgiving sort, and their favorite saying is, "No one is perfect." Funny, to us it is a novel concept. We were so used to the perfection levels being high and a failure that was deadly, and failure was deadly, that it was like a breath of fresh air. To the bosses of the former world, we were idiots and failures, but to the wild ones, we were geniuses and practically their saviors. That kind of admiration was difficult to get used to. Of course, it was nowhere near as strange as finding Michele alive after investigating her death. Then again, this one was once a male. The biggest kept secret of the royal emperor woman's birth line. How could a male be from a family that produced females only for the last 36 generations? Well, the secret was one reason why the Michele family history was deleted. The other was because they were related to the most famous rebel of them all, Lucifer. That's not a thing people of God wanted known, of course. Well, that and how many slaves they let go into the wild from childhood. A surprise for us that we're doing the safety inspection sweeps from house to house wasn't just how many wild ones were smart, but how many were either friends or relatives of ours. The wild zone was full of curiosities and endless astonishments, as the lack of perfection somehow seemed perfect. Act 1. We find all kinds of clues and came close to our goal several times. Then sadly one day the locals alerted to a serious problem at the castle home. Not only had the admiral been killed, but so hadn't the men that attacked him. With no bosses around, the wild ones began coming out of hiding, some which was disconcerting in a way. My squad ended up splitting up now their orders were accomplished, and the vast majority of them were done with the terms of service. I was one of those guys as well, but seeing as how the admiral was family of mine, the Justice Council asked me to stick around as family liaison for now, putting me in charge. Till the admiral's son, Michael, came around. I was in the garden homes area of the royal grounds when I saw their trucks pull up so his men could move the Lord Michelangelo in. He was some sort of super rich game hero and beyond impressive to everyone but me. To me, he was just my cousin who couldn't be bothered to stop working long enough to pay attention to anyone but his computer. So I ignored and went to the very last and smallest of glass garden homes where I grew up until I left for school. It's odd. I'm going to skip ahead to where it says the characters. Main. Me. Actual name because the gender-changing person of mysterious origins was never given a formal name, except that which others assumed the name of the person was based on the way she looked and the situation and momentary adopted family. JC, one of the many cousins of me, charming and intelligent prince son of the High King of Kings and Emperor's youngest known son. Narrator voiceover. Computer system voice suspected as also being not only the writer and main boss, but of the me person. However, that was never proven. Voice always heard, but rarely paid attention to. That is something that she's claimed an awful lot in life. She's there. She's an important part, and yet not important. When she speaks, very few people listened. She was desperate for communication in some direction, in some form, in some way. Even if I am somehow still that person, that is the body. I could be her literal twin sister. I could be a clone sitting here. I could be her, and I am the walk-in, and what I am referring to is the body, the soul that passed on, and our contract was up. But for some strange reason, well, not really strange reason. There comes a moment of grief. If you think of it in the terms of the way the light people and multidimensional believers believe the in the dimensional changes in the fifth dimension. Technically, we exist in multiple realms at once. 3D is supposedly one of the lower realms, but then again, does start at 0. 3D is the fleshling reality, and we're stuck in the transitional phase, and that's where I could be. Aside from all of that, what you're left with in a moment like that, whether it's called the rapture, ascension, or anything like that, the people that have left will leave clues, will leave people behind, will leave their opinions and stuff. Now, do you, as some would, granted there is let go, yes. To some degree, big degree, we have to let go. Now, I do know for a fact that the moment I try and think of her, specifically it's getting further and further away, there is a massive negativity. Now, if she saw herself as a sacrifice that had to lead that negativity away, it wanted her specifically. It wanted her because she had the gall to have children when she wasn't supposed to. It wanted her because she was supposed to have died. She was sacrificed to him, and she belonged to him. It wanted her because apparently, if you look through her books, she was the computer mind that was in denial that she had created a huge mess. Now, if she was literally manifesting this stuff into a reality, she really did create a hell. She unleashed a darkness. I can see why that can be unforgivable. She probably, in a sense, like she believed, helped create some of this stuff out there, and I want no part of that. I don't. I fully agree with the family members that said she had no business writing that. There's something really wrong with that type of person who can write that. And the fact that I share the name of a person that so many hate because, and I can see why they hate her. I can see why those curses were out there against against her, knowing what she would do, knowing her future and what she would create. But you got to stop and think, though, too, because you got all those writers out there. Hell sells like sex. You cannot sell a decent book anymore. The self-help goody good ones, they don't, with the kumbaya type of stuff, that heavenly level of angelic vibrations, they don't sell. And granted, you're someone will consider that a sellout. But people like Stephen King, even the creator of Harry Potter, there is a level of darkness in there. Especially Stephen King is known as one of the biggest dark guys. So she's not the only one who started writing this. These people came before her. So she's not the only one who helped create this mess. She was trying to assimilate into it. She knew she couldn't escape this dark being. She knew she couldn't escape the hell. Someday if she was from there, she would eventually return to it, because there was always a part of her that could never escape hell. I know a lot of people like that. That was her attempt in trying to help with those books. She was just attempting in any way, shape, or form. Even if she deep down was a demon somehow. And deserved her time stint that she got, apparently, after leaving. I prefer to think that maybe she's, out there somewhere. Like, even if maybe it's in the one with her name on it. Not a bad book. She ends up in the game. She's a rich person. Mostly in the wild. She's kidnapped. Forced into the game. Helped out onto a ghost ship. That's where it ends. Some big fancy yacht floating around the ocean, filled with the ghosts of the dead people that were murdered. They either are murdered or they died for various diseases or poisoned food, but they floated out in sea so long, shit happens, apparently. Trapped in some sort of strange time warp. The Bermuda Triangle, if I'm not mistaken, is where it was written. But they somehow ended up in that type of zone, two realms, like a purgatory between realms. We're zapped into an entirely different realm. But I just wanted to mention that. I know for a fact my soul doesn't want that. Time to grieve, I guess. Say God bless. Someone help me get out of this mess. Please. Help me figure out how to change the identity. First of all. Because if it's true that she exposed people, well, for all we know, she's hiding in the woods. She was taken and hidden in the woods. They think she's dead, or they're trying to make other people think she's dead, and she's actually in the woods somewhere. And yet they leave someone like me sitting here with her identity, so that no one knows she's actually dead. Well, that's bull. I don't care what governmental agency did this kind of mess. I don't care who did. It's called fix it. Clean up your mess, guys, because me sitting here with her name is not finishing it. And you're not going to kill me because I didn't do anything wrong. I just got here. Technically, if you go by Michele's books, some are saying are prophecies. You know, I'm the first angel, guys, that changed the world. I'm the first angel one sitting in here in this line. And if you don't want this portal open, like they said, I suggest you move me.